Hello there. I'm Scotty. You're not. Welcome back to Halloween Horror Month, and welcome back to Retro Rewind. And today we're looking at episode of Family Matters, season 8, episode 7, Stevil. Yes, this is a classic episode from 1996. This was the last season of Family Matters to air on a TGIF block before the show would be canceled by ABC, picked up by CBS for one more season. And, yeah. And I should warn you, if you're going to watch the episode, by season 8, the show had morphed from what it was. A typical family sitcom about an African-American family. And Steve Urkel came in, and everyone loved him, so they started to kind of push it towards Steve Urkel. This is for Urkel. Urkel is a star. He's the main character, and they've completely shifted. He's even living in the Winslow house, which is not what I thought it was. I thought at one point he was living with Eddie and Waldo in an apartment somewhere, but I don't know. Maybe that season 9, I don't know. But in this particular episode, Steve presents his new toy, ventriloquist dummy. Is this even Halloween related? Because did they even mention Halloween? I don't know. Came out during Halloween. But anyway, he wants to learn how to do it, but he's not very good at... He's not very good at ventriloquism. So, he kind of... The Winslow family kind of makes fun of him for it. And that night, he decides he's going to bed, and he wishes that his dummy, he could make his dummy work right, that he'd be able to talk. So, yeah, and as he lays down, we see he gets struck by lightning, which would only set it on fire because it's made of freaking wood, and it's not electrical at all, and it would not bring it to life. So I have no idea how this works, and I know you're saying, Scotty, it's a dream. Yes, we find out later it's a dream, but still, that's not how it works. And this is Urkel's dream, so he would know, being a scientist, that it wouldn't work. Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, so yeah. So he finds out that the doll is alive and tries to tell the Winslow family. They don't believe him at all. He thinks he's losing his mind. Like we see, so they do the thing like Chucky, where it's a puppet, practical effect puppet, and they got someone in a suit, a little person in a suit. In the behind the scenes footage, you find out that the little person is Timmy from Passions. Or the kid who played Kid Grinch in the Jim Carrey Grinch movie. Yeah, that guy. But I know him as Timmy from Passions because my grandma watched that show back in the day. That was a weird soap opera. A witch and a little kid boy thingy. I think it was a full adult at this point. But yeah, it was a little person. It's Timmy from Passions. Rest in peace. Anyway, so he's like, well, maybe I'm losing my mind. And this thing crawls around. He's like, my name is Steve Urkel. I have a whatever, but IQ. I like cheese. I like poker, and blah 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 blah. And he looks and he sees the dummy moving around, and he repeats it again as he goes up the stairs. And he shuts the door behind him, but the doll is already in there somehow. Kind of a first, not that this is a dream, but he's like, why? You're like, well, you're alive, but why didn't you say anything to the Winslows? Well, I hate the Winslows. You're always going on about the Winslows, and I hate the Winslows. So I'm going to take out the Winslows. What? No. So then we see him go after Eddie, but we don't see what happens to him. They say that he's in. They put Eddie in the chimney, and I think we see a pair of legs hanging out, but I don't think we ever actually see him. And then he goes into the kitchen, and he finds Laura in the cupboard. And this is really weird because you see her from this point on, and she's in the cupboard, and the rest of her body you see in other cupboards. But then she puts her arm up like this, and it's just like you're supposed to go, wait, what? How does that work? Even Steve has a like, yeah. He's like, Steve, will you close the doors? I don't want people to see me like this. Okay, so where's Harriet? Special delivery, and there's this big box. This is the one effect that didn't look, because the whole thing with Laura in the thing, it's clearly she's standing on a thing, and only from a certain point, and then those are fake body parts on the side. But this is, they use the blue screen, and they show it in the behind the scenes thing at the end of the episode, where they put Harriet's face on this CG Jack in the Box effect, and it does not look good. Come on, Steve, put him over here so I can give him a bit of a whack him in the head or something. No. Oh, and I forgot to mention that Richie and 3J, who is the new kid character played by Orlando Brown, there's a connection. They are stuck to Steve's wall in the cardboard cutouts or poster of Michael Jordan and Dennis Rodman. Yeah, they're stuck there. Don't worry, I'll get you out. And so, yeah. So he goes in the living room, and Carl doesn't seem to believe him still that the dummy's going on. And then he starts to act strange, and it turns out Carl's the dummy. Man saved Nakatomi Tower, but now he's a dummy. Not you the dummy. See, I always said he was a dummy. Too bad that Red Fox passed away by this point. But anyway, that didn't make any sense. But yeah, he's there, and he's a dummy now. He's a ventriloquist dummy. And then we get the fight between Steve and Stevil, which is what he calls himself. After, you're evil. Yeah, I'm evil. You can call me Stevil. And we get this fight. And this fight, first of all, I want to commend Reginald VelJohnson for being able to lay there through this entire fight. I'm sure there were many takes as well, because it goes from a dummy to it's a little person, and Steve's running around with the little person and knocking him down, and then wrestling with the dummy. Then you get the dummy on the top of him going like this, and Reginald VelJohnson's got to lay there the whole time. There's one point where he takes apart the dummy, and then the dummy just puts the parts back together again. Why couldn't Chucky do that? He's got voodoo powers, Chucky does, and he puts it back on. I don't think so. And he's like, ah! And then they fight, and he's choking him out. And then Steve's wake up. It was all a dream. Ooh. And he's like, Steve, what's going on? Oh, I had a bad dream. And then Eddie starts talking real smart, and you're like, oh, something's up. He goes, maybe it's just a something in your brain, something, smart things. He's like, well, there's a way to fix it. Simple surgery. And he takes a hand mixer, and he's going to use it on Steve. That wouldn't do it. He's like, hold still, because this is really going to hurt. It really wouldn't. It would feel weird, but it's not a sharp blade. It's not going to do anything unless you're bashing his brains in with it or something. But then Steve wakes up with another dream. He goes, I had a bad dream with a false ending. I'm like, okay. What was the point of that false ending anyway? I don't know. He's like, Steve, you always do this every holiday. So I guess it is. He's like, remember in Easter when you dreamt you were attacked by a giant bunny? That was terrible. Remember what happened last Thanksgiving when you dreamt that the turkey stuffed you? Oh, I'm still having nightmares about that. I guess Groundhog Day. I guess for Groundhog Day, I'm gonna wear steel pants because the groundhog is gonna go up his. Oh, I just got that. And then they walk out the door, and the camera pans back to the doll. You think the doll's gonna wink or something, but no, it just sort of sits there. And I'm interested to see where the next one goes because this was all played out to be a dream. And I remember I've seen the next one, but I don't remember how they handle it. You know? But, yeah, a few things. So I didn't realize at first that Steve was living in the Winslow house. Again, like I said earlier, I thought that Eddie and Steve had moved out to their own apartment at some point. With Waldo. Maybe that was an earlier season and that changed. They come back there when Waldo disappeared. They also don't have the Family Matters theme song here. It just says Family Matters in orange spooky lettering. Yeah. A lot of sitcoms around this time dropped it. Step by Step dropped their opening theme. Except for when it went to CBS and went to its final season. When it went to CBS, it didn't have an opening theme. It was them blowing up candles and stuff for a birthday thing with Jean-Luc there. And then they actually had an opening theme for the final season, which included Rich now. But this one, I don't know, they don't have one. What's interesting is I kind of want to watch the next episode of Thatchers because it's Karate Kids or whatever it is. Karate. Because it's the episode where Urkel becomes Bruce Lee, which I remember watching as a kid, but another time. Yeah, this was fun to go back, watch this episode again. Get everything? I think so. Itch. But yeah. So what are your thoughts on this episode? Like, so much, like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I'm Scott, and I'll see you in the next one.